Big Blend Radio, where we celebrate variety and how it adds spice to quality of life. So welcome, everyone. You know, Johnny Schaefer is here every first Sunday. And of course, we talk music because he's an award-winning singer-songwriter, but we also talk a lot about quality of life issues. He is the founder of the Gratitude Club on Facebook. So we're talking gratitude because it is Gratitude Month. We're going to talk about thank you letters too. So we've got a great guest joining us. And first, go to hearjohnny.com. And Johnny, this is like your season. So we've got a great guest joining us, but are you excited about November? I know you are.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Years ago, many of the listeners will know that we started a gratitude club on Facebook. It's over a decade ago, where we post 5 things every day that we're grateful for. And I've made so many friends through that group. And I actually wrote a song with someone in the group that, we got to know each other so well. Because when you see what someone's grateful for every day, you learn a lot about them. And just the gratitude practice just kind of grounds you and centers you and reminds you sometimes when things are really bad, that's when I make sure I go onto the gratitude club, because just thinking about, "Hey, wait a minute, there's so many things I'm grateful for. It makes a big difference. So it's wonderful to have a guest on who is all about gratitude and who's teaching kids to get into the gratitude habit, because if you can start early, I think it really enriches your life. So I'm
And
excited.
lets you know what you do have instead of what you don't have, right? It's an amazing focus. So our special guest is Carew Papritz. He is an award-winning author of The Legacy Letters, and he also created National Thank You Letter Day. And I'm loving this because who writes any? I mean, every time I try to handwrite, I'm like, uh-oh, I may be a doctor without going to doctor school. But he also created a National Thank You Letter Month. So a whole month about thank you letters. And I think this is a beautiful thing. And it's a whole thing we got to do. But November 14th is the actual day, but we can start writing letters right now. So also go to his website, thelegacyletters.com. So welcome, Carew. How are you?
I'm doing great, Lisa and Johnny. It's great to be on the show with you guys.
This is so cool because
Welcome.
right now you're in Southern Arizona, which is where we're based out of. But as everyone knows, we travel full time, and so you're in my home right now. But I also know Johnny lived near you as well in Southern Arizona when he was a kid. But I want to start with this: you both were born and not necessarily raised, but born very close to each other as well. So Carew, I believe you were born in Yosemite National Park, right? And Johnny comes from Porterville, and which is right outside Sequoia National and Kings Canyon National Parks.
Okay,
So you're like the High Sierra men. You know?
Sierra Men. I've never in my entire life been called one of the High Sierra Men.
Why not?
Well,
Me neither.
I'm telling you, Johnny, that's a band. That's a band name right there.
It is. It is, and so I think that's pretty cool. What's it like being born in a national park?
Well, I don't remember.
Okay.
No, I'm
Well,
sorry.
come on. I was like, push a button. Come on.
No,
Actually,
it was,
I have a friend who was born in Yosemite as well.
I'll be darned.
Her
That's
name is Christy. Her name is Christy.
got to get a
But
hold of us because that's a small club. But I tell you,
yeah.
a few years back, my mom, she has a photo of carrying me down the log cabin hospital, which is not barely a hospital, down the steps, and then I have a picture of carrying her down the same steps, the same rock steps. It's one of my favorite photos. But I was raised in a tent for the first year. My dad was a ranger there for a number of years, and just and lived in the Grand Tetons, lived in Olympic National Park, lived at a number of places before. So that was a great way to be brought up, especially during the summertime. But Yosemite holds it's near and dear to my heart. So every time I try to get out there once every couple of years.
Well, now you've got Saguaro National Park in your backyard,
Yes, I do.
and it's
You-
beautiful.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. Now, Johnny, Sequoia National Park, was that part of your childhood going up there?
Yes. My dad loved nature, and he actually loved trout fishing. And we used to go up to particularly Balch Park up above Porterville, and then a little bit above that, sometimes up to Bishop, but usually Balch Park was kind of his favorite. And Well, we'd go stream fishing a lot, and then they have a couple of ponds up there that, we'd go to. So that was kind of our hangout was Balch Park particularly, I think.
Very
So
cool.
I wanted to ask
Yeah.
both of you on the topic of gratitude. Start with you, Carew, as our guest here. With being in parks, and that's what we do on our parks and our Love Your Parks tours, document parks and public lands and all parks, because we learned very quickly all parks matter. And I was raised pretty much in Africa in the bush, and I'm a nature kid for sure.
Oh, yeah.
But do you think being in the absolute awe of nature breeds gratitude because when you're out in nature, everything becomes, it's very humbling, number one, but it reminds you of the simple things on life that are absolutely magnificent, but sometimes in city life and all of that, things get so cluttered and noise pollution and all of that. So do you think, gratitude, which is obviously what you stand for, comes from being in nature and being out in it?
100%. There's this, people talk about how to practice gratitude. And I say, you got to do gratitude rather than just practice it. Right. And one of the most easiest things to do is to step out your back door and take a gratitude break. This is so easy. It's not just a matter of being meditative, but if you want instant humbling, step out the door, walk 15 steps, look up at the clouds, listen to the birds, do it for a minute, and all of a sudden you're fine. The world is great at that moment. And do it a couple times a day, because I'll tell you what, I start the day with that. No matter what, I walk outside, I listen to the birds, I listen to the rain, whatever it may be, or listen to the sunshine. But of course, that's always here. And but I get grounded, and it's just this incredible feeling. And I suggest to anybody, like if you're feeling overwhelmed in life at any given moment, and you go, oh, I don't know what to do, I don't know, just step out the dang door. It is so easy, and we don't do it, and we should do it. So do it. Do gratitude. Right. It's very, very easy.
And what about you, Johnny? Nature? Is nature part of this?
Yeah, absolutely. We have, we're in Southern California with millions of people, but we have a lot of dedicated spaces like Elysian Park, Debs Park, and then up above, in the San Gabriel Mountains above here in Pasadena, lots of places, that you can go Sturtevant Falls and, lots of different places. And so my husband Paco and I love to get out and walk for an hour and a half or so, or a couple hours, and hike into the hills and see all the views, and you still get a lot of nature, even though it's kind of encroached, by the city a lot. And actually, even in my neighborhood, sometimes just getting out, and even though it's in the city, my song "You Paved the Way" actually came on one of those walks. I was walking along, and I try to do gratitude when I'm walking. Like I'll actually express gratitude for each part of my body when I'm walking. And then I started looking around, and I thought about how many of the buildings in Pasadena were built 100 years ago. And I thought about the people who built them, and the people who made the roads, and the people who made the schools, and everything that went into what I was looking at through the last few hundred years. And so I started expressing gratitude about that. And then the song "You Paved the Way" came out of that. So yes, it's very inspirational to be out, even in the city. But yes, nature is just awe-inspiring.
So that is a thank you letter then.
Yes, it
There we
is.
go. A
Mhm.
thank you song.
There we
So, Carew, tell us
Musical.
about this thank you letter mission. Are you going to, does an email count, or should we actually get pen and paper?
You asked the question. You cannot write an email. You cannot write a text, because why? Those are filled with electrons, and you can't touch electrons. You actually have to put pen to paper. And why is that? This is so fascinating. The idea of giving time to somebody. So when you write a letter and you're putting in your time to that, when you send that, you give the gift of time to somebody. And literally, if one of the most precious things you have in your life is this time on this planet, people intrinsically understand that you're giving them time. They knew that took effort. They knew it took your time to send that to them. So yeah, it's very easy. I mean, we've all done it. I get a thank you note vis-a-vis email or a text or something, but man alive, to get an actual thank you note, a thank you letter, whatever it may be, it's especially in this day and age, it's profound
Mm.
because it took effort to do that. And people understand that not only did it take effort, but you are now giving them the gift of time and you hold it in your hands. You're holding someone's time in your hands. How powerful is that?
Mm. And care. There's something also about when your brain, the connection of your brain through your hands. I mean, it's like if I need to remember something, I write it down and then it's in me and forever. Like it's there. It's in my file case. But um if it's an email, it's really hard to remember everything in comparison. So I think there's something in that, Johnny. I know you're going to say that too, or something on along those lines.
Yeah, yeah. Well, a couple things actually were brought up, when Carew was talking. I have a family member who worked in a governor's office for many years, and she was responsible for responding to correspondence. And they weighted handwritten letters much higher than something that was an email or even a phone call, but just when someone took that much time to write a letter, they understood that it was really important to those people. And, I was raised when we would open our presents at Christmas and our birthday,
Yeah.
my mom had a notepad and she would write down, okay, this came from this person. And then we had to sit down and write a thank you note. And it could, we got to go to the store and pick out the thank you notes. And then it could just be a few lines, dear grandma, thank you for the, you know, book or whatever it was. And so I had that instilled in me when I was really young, and certainly the writing. And also when I write music, I always start out at the piano with a manuscript book and a pencil. I have a lot of friends who now write at their keyboard or, like digitally. And there's something to me about seeing it on the manuscript paper and how physically writing the notes. I don't know. It's something with that process for me is important.
Totally agree with you, Johnny, about writing music and writing lyrics by hand.
Yes.
And then you go back, and I love getting those liner notes where you see the people writing, oh, scratch it out and
Yeah.
went back there and you see a
Yeah.
process going on. But that
Mhm.
and Lisa, to your point about writing, it's really fascinating with children is that there's so I don't want to say dereliction of writing, but when you tap on a letter on a keyboard, J, K, whatever the case may be, that does not get electrically imported through your muscles onto your brain. When you write a J, when you write a K, when you write an LM, it actually makes an electronic imprint on your brain. And that's part of learning how to read. And that's why there's amidst so many other problems with learning how to read, that is one of the fundamental ones right there. And tap, 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 tap. I'm telling you, it doesn't work that way. That's not the way the human brain works. It has to be
Mm.
physical. It has to have that same quality to it. So yeah.
That's interesting because I'm a musician too, and there's a difference. Like when you play keyboards or even organ has a little different feel with the levity of the keys. But if you're going from like a Casio keyboard, right, a little one, right, to a piano that has a levity and a dynamic in the actual keys of how you play it. You can play it softly, or you can get a little louder by how your hands work. To me, it's also that way, going in the music side. It has that dynamic. But, it's interesting about writing thank you letters. On the other side, I had to write apology letters when I was in school because I was, Nancy made me, she's like, you did this wrong. You're going to go apologize. You're going to write it down because if
Oh,
you
I
write
love
it
it.
down,
Yeah.
it's the same, it's the opposite of the thank you. An apology, you're just like, dude, I really did it. Now I'm like, that is pie on your face. So it was just as important to write an apology versus, all right, I'm sorry. That doesn't mean anything, but I'm sorry. I did this. I won't do it again. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings or whatever it was. And it had the same effect as a thank you in
Wow.
There's
that
That's
timing,
super
right?
cool. Yeah.
There's that meme of Bart Simpson at the chalkboard. I will not,
Yeah.
I will
do
not.
whatever.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Remember they did that to us in school. Oh my gosh. How many lines? Oh my gosh. Now they're going to just go, enter, enter, enter on their phone, you
Right.
know.
Yeah.
See, that's a problem. So Carew, with this,
Yeah.
why did you decide to make it an actual day? And how did you pick the day and say, okay,
Oh,
we're going to doing a whole month because
fun.
it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, let's go for that.
Fun story. So, I've been working, especially at our local school here, Continental Elementary, a big
Oh
shout
yeah.
out to them. When I talk about a rural local school, the entire school from K through 8th grade is the entire school district, the superintendent, the principal, everyone's there. And it's a very small, but really cool place. And they've allowed me lots of leeway doing interesting things. The least of which is, um, of putting out this big thank you letter. And I'll tell you how that came about. So I was helping to do a handwriting course. It's after school, and I'm writing with my cursive on the board, and they're copying it, and I'm just going, and I can hear them. They're just like sleeping, and they're like, I got to do this type of thing. And I said, hey guys, why don't we create a thank you letter the size of a football field? And of course, they're all, "Oh, Mr. Papritz, that's great. Let's do it." And I'm just like saying, "Wow, what did I just say to myself? What did I just get myself into?" I was like, "Good Lord." So actually what happened is it became the size of a high school basketball gym. And another interesting thing, and it took something like 30 rolls of butcher paper. It took like 100 boxes of cookies, 36 pizzas and all this, put it together over a period of 2 months. And then I decided I'm going to have my inner 6th grade child or 4th grade child write this letter. So I tried it and I wrote it, and it was so bad. It was so horrible, thinking I could. And I said to the guys, I said, "Guys, I need you to write things that you're thankful for." So they wrote it down. They came back. And that is the letter. I am thankful for this, this, and this. And when you read the letter on nationalthankyouletterday.com, the whole entire, you'll see what they wrote. And it was beautiful. Like, thank you for giving me shoes and for making me meals. And I mean, it's just sort of like what a kid would say, right? It was their voice. We created this day, we didn't even create, we started with November 14th, right in the middle of the month of gratitude. Why wouldn't it be? It's the best place on the planet. And on that day, we revealed it, and we had all the teachers, all the administrators, all sign it. So down below, they're all writing their signatures on it. And so the running joke then becomes, well, what do you do with the world's largest handwritten thank you letter? Well, you got to send it. So next year, we sent it. We made the world's largest envelope, the world's largest stamp, which was stamped by the postmaster. It's National Thank You Letter Day stamp, which we're trying to make official. We
Cool.
put it in the back of the postal truck. It is like a 26-foot by 4-foot long burrito. It took like 20 kids to carry it out. We had to undo the doors, took it to our sister school, revealed it. It was actually sent. As a result of that incredible deal, we got a Guinness Book of World Record for the stamp and the envelope and whatnot. And we got on the Kelly Clarkson show, which was super cool.
Yeah.
Lots of shout outs there. And that's why we not only started National Thank You Letter Day, but National Thank You Letter Month, because gosh, one day doesn't cover it.
Yeah. No, I agree. There's a lot of thank yous to be given. Yeah. And do it before Christmas present time.
Yeah. And it's an interesting time. There's this, let's do our thank yous after Christmas. This is a month. And another sort of super cool idea behind this idea is all the different ways you could send thank you letters. One year came up with this idea is like, send a letter to somebody you've always wanted to thank in your life, like a teacher or, whatever. Teachers are great for that. And tell them what you've done. And it was great. We got people who had sent letters to my piano teacher, to my whatever teacher from 30 years ago. And people are like crying about this. They were just, they were so moved, or whatever the case may be. And it was a cathartic moment of gratitude and giving and love and all these great things. And it was amazing.
That's cool. You know what I think is great about it is right now there's so much divide and arguing in families and throughout our country with friends at work, all of this, everyone's arguing and a lot of politics and all of that. But if someone said a thank you letter, how about just focus on the good parts of someone that you do agree and admire and maybe people can kind of reset things and
I like that
start
reset. Yeah.
coming back to a point of unity, so that maybe the discussions don't have to be heated and cruel.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of stuff going on, and we can't ignore it. But I think this is an actual act of I'm trying here, and gratitude of this part. And so maybe that can help in people having a happy Thanksgiving, that the turkey doesn't get thrown across the room or something. It's
Yeah,
happened.
I'm sure that I know. And the whole basis of National Thank You Letter Day is to celebrate kindness and civility and gratitude, and manners. Those are, to me, are the 4 pillars of what embodies a thank you letter. And some people, manners, really? Yeah, it's good manners to say thank you. And especially to do it within the idea of a thank you letter. So that's sort of the general philosophy behind that, and especially gratitude being, and civility, more than ever needing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And I
I think
saw a
also,
suggestion. Okay, I saw a suggestion on your website too about Veterans Day being on the 11th.
Huge.
Right before that, writing letters to our soldiers, or to a veteran, thanking a veteran for their service, or a soldier for what they're doing now, makes a big impact on them.
Yeah, no, thank you for bringing that up, John. And that's sort of the reason why we expanded it more to the month. I mean, I thought, oh, if we get it on the day, and there's so many, it's National Pizza Pepperoni Day, and National Unplug Your Ear Day, or what, I don't know. There's all these. And I thought, no, it's really the month, and it really says this is the month of thanks. And and I love that idea. We actually did that one year. We just had, let's send letters to our veterans, and let's do it in all these different ways. And we've actually got organizations to be involved in that. We actually did a thing where we had our local school write letters to people, not only soldiers, not only, veterans and whatnot, but people in your community, like the people who pick up your garbage, the people who are at the
the
checkout
post
stands.
office.
Yeah, that was really simple. We had them come to the school, and we gave them letters, and people were like, "What the heck? This is unbelievable!" And the kids are like, "Oh, whoa, this is really cool." So,
It's a
yeah,
good ripple effect, that can
I
happen
love
with
hearing
that.
that. Yeah,
You never know where someone is during their day, and then all of a sudden someone gives them a thank you letter that acknowledges them. That can change everything for them in that day.
huge way. Yeah, and I have to tell you on a fun note. So I'm going down our local Safeway store, and the kids, they know me, and especially through my son and whatnot, and who went to school there. And the guy, he points at me, and he goes, hey, that's Mr. Thank You Letter. And I was like, you kidding? That is I'm Mr. Yes, howdy.
Ah,
It's like all the things you want to be on the planet. I'm Mr. Thank You Letter. So I'll take that to my grave. So
and he's from the High Sierras. Don't
yeah,
forget that one too.
that's right.
That's
Uh,
well, I think also, right now with things going on, I think we should write letters to our park rangers and say thank you for being our park rangers.
oh,
I'm not kidding. I mean, I'm not saying this lightly, but we have a lot of people right now that are furloughed and or fired, or um and I think if know your neighbor down the street is working as a firefighter or something like that, and put it with some cookies or something. But if,
yeah,
it doesn't cost much to write a letter, and that can change everything. And I
uh,
think I look at what's happening to our park service and the employees and people that are, working for no pay right now. I think we should be sending them some letters so that they're recognized, that they're acknowledged, not recognized.
Lisa, that is an
Yeah.
incredible idea, because I mean, especially coming from a father who's a ranger, that is a lovely, lovely idea. I mean, just to send it out just look up where your local national park is, send it to the park headquarters. They'll eventually get it, or somehow. But my God, yeah. And as
Yeah.
much as we all love national parks, why not? Why not put it in that direction?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you
No, it's
think,
a great
Johnny?
idea.
Do you have others that you would think we should send to?
Yeah, people, that volunteer in hospitals, or also the nurses, and doctors that put in really long hours. It can be really taxing on your soul
Mhm.
to be around people that are suffering all the time, and so giving them a boost of thanking them for all that they do. I think that can make a big difference. And then, I mean, teachers, I guess, sometimes do get gratitude, but for kids to write a letter to their
Oh,
teacher
yeah.
thanking them, for what they do for them, I think can make a big difference. And I was even thinking, like, having kids write to their siblings thanking them. Sometimes it helps them think about what they appreciate about their siblings. So that could be an interesting exercise as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's
And,
cool.
all these ideas are so powerful. I love this. This is great stuff, guys.
Well, Carew, do
but
you have any? Oh, go ahead.
No, no, I was just gonna say, Carew, for the viewers and listeners out there, letters are a big theme in your life, and he actually has a book, The Legacy Letters, that won awards both as a fictional book and as a nonfiction book, because he kind of combines the two. And it's a character that I guess knows he's going to pass away, so he
Mhm.
writes letters to his children that are read after he's gone. And one of the things he says in there is to always make sure that you're doing your best, and make that a habit. And my dad, whenever he would sit down with me, when I'd come home with my report card, before he would open the report card, he'd look at me and he'd say, "Did you do your best?" And I'd say, "Yes." And he'd say, "Okay, then whatever's in here, I'm good with."
I love that.
And
That's
so
brilliant. Yeah.
but
That's
yeah,
cool.
so the whole thing about, letter writing, and the way you incorporated that into your book and made it into this wonderful way of passing on wisdom. And I think you talked about that legacy is what you do right now.
Mhm.
And so uh my dad did a little bit about, because he did know he was gonna pass, so he made some recordings for us and things like that, that we cherish. But, I think that was a beautiful thing, that you wrote that book. And,
Oh, thank you.
I
Thank you so much.
encourage everyone to check that out.
Yeah, that brings a good point.
Right.
Let people
Yes.
know things before they pass. And so I think the thank you letter is a really good way to let people know, about something. But I was going to ask Carew, any tips on how to write a good thank you letter that is meaningful, not just, because I know there's going to be, thank you for being my sister. Here you go. So any tips on how to do it where it hits a home run?
Yeah, I think the most profound one, I think, come from the Irish, of course, because that's what the Irish do. They say when you give a speech at a funeral, at a wedding, whatever, you always speak from the heart. Well, yeah, but it's one thing to say that. It's another thing to do that. And the times that I've ever been, I mean, I don't consider myself nervous in getting in front of a crowd or anything like that, but I have to sort of realign myself and say, you're not speaking from your mouth. And I have to go down into my heart and say, okay, this is where we're starting from, right? Same thing with the letter. And I think people are intimidated. They're more intimidated than ever to write that the blank page syndrome. Oh, it's all white. What am I going to do? And I said, oh, just relax, relax. And I do this for Valentine's Day too, which is really fun. But um, just really right from the heart. And I would say just start with a singular action. Action speaks so loud of come up with a particular memory if that's an easy place to start. I always love the way that you made a particular dinner or you taught me how to change the tire or whatever the case is. The 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 smallest details are sometimes the most profoundest actions in life that we remember, especially as kids. I mean, we go back and we say, "Oh, my parents didn't. No one remembers that." But guess what? I remember that, and I love the report card idea.
Mhm.
That speaks so. I mean, heck, you could write an entire song on that, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it really is that profound. So I think don't go beyond a page because if you do, that's fine. But say, here's the first thing, here's the second thing, here's the third thing. I always say that with love letters too. Don't go beyond that. But this is a love letter of sorts that you're with this thank you letter. Thank you for doing X, Y, and Z at the smallest detail. And I love you, or I just wanted to let you know that this was so important to me. So, that's it. That's it. And you can do
And
more.
what you did for me,
Yeah. Yes.
how it impacted me.
Yeah.
Mm.
And it doesn't have to be. I think we all get stuck and we immediately stop because, oh, this is going to take so much effort. No, no, no. It is literally one sentence, two lines, dear so and so, or hi, or whatever the case. I just want to let you know something that's really important to me. They will take that letter with them the rest of their life. I have a letter like that I'm going to share with you that was written by my
Oh, yeah.
son. But along those lines, to whomever you feel you can do, and maybe you say, I'm gonna do 3. I love threes. It's a holy number and all these great things. 3 people in your life. It can be a parent, it can be teacher, it can be somebody, but 3 letters this month, not much. What a great
Yeah.
exercise in gratitude.
I like the threes. The threes
Yeah.
goes in everything in composition, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Everything's a waltz.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. No, so read the letter. I want to hear.
Yeah. All right. So our the head of our postmaster, she was involved, of course, in the sending of the letter. She stamped the actual stamp, and it was all legit. And she decided to give 600 prepaid envelopes to the kids at the school, and so they could write a letter and to whomever. Well, we received one of these. It's one of those almost like postcards that has a stamp, not the stamp, but it's got the prepaid postcard. So I was like, oh, this is going to be an interesting thing. And then I received one from our son, and
Oh,
it just blew me away. I was like, oh, that's really cool. And I have it here, and it says, Dear Mom and Dad, thank you for all the wonderful times I have had with you. I love you, and I'm so glad I was born into this family. P.S. I would write more, but I can't. The postcard is very limited. Love, my son's name.
that's cute. That's funny.
And
That's cute.
I'll take that with me the rest of my life. It's
Mhm.
like, but there it is. And you talk about, it's funny when you talk about you have a fire. What's the first thing you grab? Well, you're going to grab your pictures, you're going to grab your pets, your kids, and you grab your letters, right? I mean, it's literally people think in those terms because none of that can be replicated. Sometimes people will take whatever in a different order, but I'll take my pets, my kids, my whatever the kid. But the letter and the photos are in the cloud. But letters, you grab those things because they're worth their weight in gold. And again, they're handwritten. They go back in time, and the time goes forward. I don't know. There's so many iterations of how vital handwritten letters are and how much they mean to us when we get them.
It does. Letter writing is always been in my life because I lived overseas, and so I mean, it was just normal. And now, emails came in and all of that. Everything was letter writing and, friends and family. And you had to do it on those airmail letters and you
Yeah.
were
Oh,
limited
yes.
on,
Yeah.
and
Right.
you'd remember those ones you'd fold it and you'd buy ones that looked like your town or, you'd buy ones that look like the country you're in. And I think there's something that we're missing with this whole world of text messaging, which is great. And as anyone knows, Johnny knows my fingers are fat. And apparently I send so quickly because I'm always excited. I'm like, what about this? Oops, fat fingers. And then I even misspell fat fingers. So, but things are lost in translation between emails and text messages.
Yeah.
And then the emojis, sometimes you get an emoji and you go, what is that? What does that one mean? Quite, you know what I mean? So like there are some you're just like, I'm not quite sure what you meant there. So it's the letter is like you sometimes pick up the phone and call your grandmother kind of thing too.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
an actual call, not texting. I've seen people text each other at a dinner table and I'm horrified. Like you're together, it's like being on this Zoom call together for a podcast. Let me start answering my emails and
Oh,
text
yeah.
messages right now. So all of this communication is empty.
Mhm.
It is empty as heck. you know?
My friend teaches high school, and he was walking on the campus, and he saw a circle of, he said, 6 or 8 students standing in a circle, all looking at their phones, and then they all started laughing at the same time. So they were doing like a group message to each other instead of talking,
Yeah.
and that's just crazy to
Yeah.
me.
So I
I
think the
know.
letter,
Where
this
we're
is
at.
so a way to bring us back to
Mhm.
reality in a
Yeah.
positive way, and it breeds positivity. That's
Yeah.
that's what
And
I
it,
love about that.
yeah, and I'll tell you, there's a funny story. So again, every year I go up to the local school and we talk about letter writing. It's always at Valentine's Day, and this is fun. And so I decided on the spot. I said, okay, we're gonna take a little quiz here. And so I said to the guys, I said, okay, how many of you would rather write a text message or whatever, or a letter? And they all had various responses, but most of them were text message, right? And then I asked the girls, I said, girls, what would you rather receive from the guys? You would rather receive a text message or an email, and of course, or a letter. So like 3/4 or more of the girls letter, like put their hands up. And I was like, oh, out of the blue, like, wow, that's really wild to be able to say that. So we do the class and we get to the end of it, and I say, anybody have any questions? And this kid in the back puts his hand up and he says, when can we start learning how to write letters?
Oh, that's cute.
It was like, it's like, I see what you're doing.
Mm.
The girls want letters. We're going to go that way. And he just like, I caught on to this. We're going the letter route.
Yeah, and you can make airplanes out of them in class.
Oh my
You know, do
God.
you all remember that? I mean, come
Oh
on.
yeah.
I mean, it's that was part of communication. So I want to let people know also that you have nationalthankyouletterday.com. So you can go there, and that is November 14th. And you can get all involved in that. And don't forget, if you're going to use your phone and text, you can do hashtags, right?
Yep.
Make sure to play hashtags. And that's what I call it, hashtagging. But I wanted to also ask you about the Yellow Feather movement, and everyone can go to yellowfeathers.org. Can you tell us a little bit about that before we close up here? And we do want
Yeah.
to talk gratitude music
Yeah.
too.
Oh, yes, definitely. So Yellow Feathers was interesting because I was thinking of sort of the political world. This is definitely more political, but I am, how do we put this? I'm a little bit amazed at the lack of people who are of standing up for the things that I believe are right, and that can be definitely disagreeable, but the fundamental things, the fundamental truth telling, the fundamental, you know, standing up for people who can't stand up for themselves. I mean, that's the classic phrase, being a stand-up guy, or like I like to say, being a good guy, and a good guy is really important. And what does that mean in the world? You tell the truth, you stand up for people who can't protect themselves, you do these things. And people who don't do that, I was trying to figure out what's a way that we could call them out. And I remembered reading about in history that the British soldiers who received a yellow feather were considered cowards. And that actually, so if you were a coward in combat, you'd send a yellow feather to somebody. It was the worst thing that could ever happen. And then the women did that to people who didn't serve in World War I. And so it was shameful to receive that. And I thought, well, what if we had something equivalent in the world, and we did it in the US? Well, we talk about being yellow, which is cowardice. So just came up with this sort of yellow feather idea. And it's the whole beauty of it is, how do you fight a feather? You can't. You can't punch a feather. You can't do, and talk about the ultimate in being peaceful, nonviolent. Here's a feather. You place it as somebody and you call them out. This shame of not doing not standing up for the people I need to be stood up for. So the whole idea, and I wrote an op-ed in the Chicago Tribune, and then got a lot of hype off of that, and yellowfeathers.org is this very idea. And it's political, but I try to be apolitical about that, because I really want people to say people want to have a voice. Maybe they don't want to put themselves out in the forceful way, but guess what? You can send a text, you can send emails, you can write and put a feather in an envelope, or you can literally, at a town hall meeting or whatever, drop a feather right in front of somebody. I mean, how I would love to see that. I haven't seen it yet. I'm
Hmm.
hoping it'll happen soon. But the ultimate, I am ashamed. You're a coward. Oh, really? A coward for not standing up for the things that you should stand up for. And that's where I mean, I think you can see where I stand on that.
Yeah, there's a Martin Luther King quote about, you begin to die the day that you
Oh,
stop, speaking out about things that matter. I'm
Hmm.
paraphrasing, but
yeah. No,
yeah.
that's that. Yeah, yeah. And
It's
I-
important.
yeah,
It is because we will lose that. We will
yes,
lose the opportunity to speak
Mhm.
and do something, and that's a very good way of doing it because it's like a gesture to kind of tap someone on the shoulder in a way and say, "Hey, did you realize?" Without a big drama. And the big
yes.
drama is getting exhausting for everyone. That's what I like about the thank you letters is it's like, hey, it's a way of making amends maybe in a family,
I
in
love
a
that. Yeah,
situation with friends. And I mean, we've gone so extreme that I think I always think, okay, the swing is going, and eventually we need to get back on the seesaw and get to the middle and balance. And I think it's
yeah.
those kinds of just thoughtfulness. It's about being present and conscious about things. And a yellow feather, that's pretty cool. I mean, you aren't seeing Rosa Parks get one of those, She stood up and looked
Mhm.
nonviolent, right?
Yeah, she really did. And I think the bigger idea behind this is that courage is contagious. And if you have people saying, we're sending it, please, pass this on to other people, really, truly pass this on. You can take a picture of the yellow feather. You can, like I said, you can drop it in front of somebody. You can do anything with it. And then people,
And I got a
what?
list.
Yeah, like, who the heck is that? Yeah, we all have this list,
Mhm.
but if you drop it in front of somebody, if you just it is so, like, it just it's a drop mic, it
Well, and we
just
can talk about what standing up looks like, and, I mean, Lisa knows I do it a lot through my music.
yep.
I've
I
written
saw
about
you just
very,
did one
very
on
tough subjects.
YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow, I'm like, "You go, dude." Yeah. Mhm.
and I wanted to thank you actually, Carew. You have a beautiful poem on YouTube. I dreamt of this not happening, or
Oh,
I dream of this not happening,
wow.
regarding school shootings, and I have a song when it's your kid that talks about that very thing. I mean, it's kind of teen suicide in one verse, and then school shootings in another verse, and just asking parents to think, well, what if this was your kid,
Yeah.
that wasn't going to come home. And yeah, I thought you expressed that really beautifully. And so that's
Thank
an
you, Johnny. That means
example.
the world to me. That really
Yeah.
does. I've actually put that out for so many shootings. I started that with the nightclub in Florida there, and,
Oh, the
Mm.
Pulse. The
yeah,
Pulse
Yeah, I have
nightclub.
a song.
yeah,
I have a song that I did that with too. Love shines on. I
yeah.
did a
Mhm.
video. Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah, and and
Mhm.
and it's very powerful to hear that when another artist acknowledges that part, because I've been doing it for a while and I'm getting not getting tired of doing it, but I'm getting tired of,
Yeah.
yeah, the
Yeah.
shootings that happen and no one wants to acknowledge that. So that's
Yeah.
yeah, that and I did yeah, actually that one was done at the Pulse, I believe, if that's
Mhm.
but
Wow.
I
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
that I think and there's a lady, Heidi Human, I recently interviewed, and she wrote a memoir, and she came from a very abusive family, and she also does a lot to stand up for shootings because she went to Columbine in school, and then this shooting happened, and she wasn't in it, but by standing up and speaking out about gun violence is how she found her voice to overcome her abuse from childhood, was to stand up for something else. And a lot of times the people who do stand up understand what th- they already know the horrors. Excuse me. So they have the extra strength to stand up and do something. And for the gun violence part, she, as a parent, because you have kids going to each other's houses, she says she'll call the parents up, say, "Hi, I'm so and so. We want to know each other. I just one of my questions, Johnny has allergies. Do you, Johnny? No, John has allergies to this and that.
Yes, I do.
Um, but also, I want to know if there are guns in the house, and if
Oh,
so,
interesting.
how are you protecting them, protecting the children to not be able to get those guns?" And that's a way to bring a conversation, no matter what your beliefs are. This is a protection of the children. So she said that is a very effective way of handling that as parents. So I just thought I'd put that in. But I know we're doing good on our time here. We're having a good time here. I wanted to really quickly go around because you got the gratitude list. Okay. So I got to go with the thank you. I got with the Black Crowes version here, but, Carew, what is a song of gratitude that we should be adding to this gratitude list?
You caught me off guard on this
Come
one.
on.
Oh, gratitude. All right, let's go.
I just took thank you. I mean, that's just pathetic, isn't it? But it's a good song. Johnny, we can add on that, right?
Yeah.
Spotify list.
The first thing that comes to mind, probably it's the classic is Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Okay, it just makes me happy. So I would just, if I hear Somewhere Over the Rainbow, I'll bawl like a baby, and it's just like that, and it just brings back all sorts of great memories of being raised and watching The Wizard of Oz, and I have gratitude for watching The Wizard of Oz with my parents. And
well done.
Yeah. Thank you. Of course, I've got to do that now.
Send it to the witches. Johnny, what's your song? One song that's gone there from you.
Well, what popped into my head was the Golden Girls song. Thank you for being a friend. Yeah, because I love the show, and I love it too. Such a great.
They stood up.
They did, and it was all about their beautiful relationship with each other and their true love for each other, and I always thought that song was perfect for that, and it's a great song, just for for anybody. So I would say that.
Awesome. Well, Carew, it has been a pleasure having you on the show. I think we kept you longer, so thank you for staying longer. Everyone, everyone, again, go to National Thank You Letter Day. They're also on Facebook. You can also go learn more about Carew's book. Go to theLegacyLetters.com. And if you want to be part of the Yellow Feather movement and drop some yellow feathers at people that need to be reminded to stand up and do what they say they're going to do, go to yellowfeathers.org. Oh my, I'm going to have to go to like a big box store for a big box of feathers. I can see them as we travel around. Stop here. There's a politician's house and drop a feather. It's going to be like a yellow stream. I'm just saying that's what went to my mind. It's like, it's yellow for a reason. So that's what I think about that.
Oh my gosh, that's too funny.
Of course, everyone go to hearjohnny.com. He's also on YouTube. So check him out there and get his music. He's got great songs out. So everyone, thank you so much, and keep up with us at bigblendradio.com. Thank you for listening to Big Blend Radio. Keep up with our shows at bigblendradio.com.